Hey everybody, welcome back to P&W Traditions. My name is Melanie, and today I'm just bringing you along in the kitchen. My daughter and I decided we wanted to try our hand at homemade Lara Bars. I think that's how you say it. And mainly they're made up of like dates and nuts and things like that. They're naturally sweetened, which is what I was after. So we're going to try out a couple of different flavors, and we're going to do a coconut cashew version, which you can see we're starting right now with cashews. And then we're also going to do a peanut butter chocolate chip version. And so we're just loading all of the ingredients right now into a food processor. That way we can kind of blitz it all together and buzz it up. So I'm pulsing the cashews just to get them kind of broken up, because you're gonna pulse it to where it becomes like a paste. So I'm almost going to be creating like cashew flour. Really, really fine. And then my daughter's going to add a few tablespoons of coconut oil as a binder. I'm adding a little splash of vanilla. And then I'm going to add in a couple handfuls of these dates. The dates are already pitted, and I didn't have a recipe for this. I kind of looked up some things online and just sort of winged it. And this first one that I did, I was not careful about my measurements, and I ended up adding way too much coconut oil. Actually, what my daughter just put in was totally fine, but as you'll see in the next clips, I add a little bit more because I noticed that it's not coming together. So the next batch, I'm a lot more careful. So I'm adding in some shredded coconut. It's unsweetened. The dates provide all the sugar needed in this recipe. These are super healthy and awesome for on-the-go breakfast. So I'm just whizzing it up and trying to get it to basically become a paste. But as you can see, it's a little chunky still, which what I should have done was just let it run longer, but I decided to add more coconut oil, which turns out in the end they were a little bit too oily. So I'll put the recipes down in the description box for you. So you just want to pulse it until it comes together just like that, and you can form it into a ball in between your fingers, and it's good to go. So next we're going to get a couple of 8x8 pans, and I'm going to line it with parchment paper, and my daughter is going to press it all in for us. Okay, so now it's time to get started on the second kind. And I'm going to be a lot more careful about my measuring this time. So I'm starting out with 2 cups of salted peanuts. And then we're going to add in about 3 cups of the dates, I think is what I end up putting in here. And I think that would have been a good ratio for the cashews and coconut one as well. If you do a 2 to 3, 2 cups of whatever, I mean, you could use like pecans, almonds would be great. I'd say that's probably 2 cups of whatever nut you're using, and then 3 cups of the dates. And I'm just pulsing them together to get them kind of chunked up a little bit. And then this one, I don't need to add any coconut oil because we're going to be adding peanut butter as a binder. So in with that little splash of vanilla, just like last time. Those little types of things add lots of flavor. Especially when you're making things homemade from scratch, you got to be sure to really add in salt or vanilla. Things like that just enhance it. Oh, if you were even doing, I was just thinking maybe you could even put a little bit of espresso powder in these if it was going to be something that you wanted for breakfast if you weren't giving it to your kids. But yeah, a little espresso powder and like a chocolate one, that'd be great. So I'm just going to let that whiz up until it becomes pasty. And as you can see, my daughter's really excited about the chocolate chunk part of it. We have some chocolate chunks that are sweetened with coconut sugar. I am absolutely loving these. I cannot wait to order more. Unfortunately, it's really, really hot where we're at right now, and they would not ship them to me. So I'm almost out, but as you can see, it came together just like last time, and we just used the peanut butter, which I actually really liked that. I think I would rather use like peanut butter or cashew butter or something like that to bind it rather than the coconut oil. So now I'm just going to add in the chocolate chunks. I just chopped them up a little bit because I wanted them to be more like little mini chips in there. So I just pulsed them in there a couple of times, and now I'm going to hand it over to Marley again, and she is going to press it all in. Okay, now it's time to do some cleanup, and I know dishes aren't the most pretty thing, but it is necessary, especially after you're going to be in the kitchen all day, and especially when you're working with kids in the kitchen. So just doing a little bit of cleanup, wipe the counters down, get it all ready, and then it's going to be time to start some lunch. You'll notice I had my youngest one on my back while we were doing the Lara Bars, and she was a little crabby. So I'm going to be starting some lunch, getting these littles fed. So after lunch, it was definitely time for an espresso. So I actually made fun of my mother endlessly for the fancy coffee maker that she has. And I ended up falling in love with her coffee maker and bought one of my own. And now I just can't get over it. I absolutely love it. It makes the best espressos. So next on the docket, we have homemade vanilla ice cream. we needed some treats in the freezer, and I like to make homemade ice cream because I can sweeten it with what I want, and I don't have to use refined sugar. You can use coconut sugar, you can use maple syrup, you can use honey. Today we're going to be using honey. But I just put 1 cup of milk on the burner to get hot, and I am going to drop in 3 egg yolks. And I'm getting the milk hot because I'm going to temper these egg yolks. It's just my way of thinking and making it safer to eat with the egg yolks in it, but the yolks are just necessary. They make it so much creamier and delicious. So I got that piping hot, and I'm just going to slowly drizzle it into the egg yolks. My chickens are laying in abundance right now. Look at those beautiful orange yolks. And we're just going to temper them a little bit with this hot milk. And then we're going to be adding in some cold cream. So usually with your ice cream maker, you have to like refrigerate your base and make sure it's super cold. When I add in the cold cream, it's not going to. It'll cool it off enough to where I don't have to spend that refrigerator time. So I'm measuring out about 1/3 of a cup of honey. When I do maple syrup, I use about 1/2 cup of maple syrup, but honey to me is always sweeter. So I'm adding it into the warm milk and eggs. That way it dissolves in easier. And I'm going with about 1/3 of a cup, and that turned out to actually be perfect. So I'm just trying to make sure that's fully incorporated, and then adding in the vanilla. Vanilla seems to be a theme today. If you have a vanilla bean, you could totally use the caviar from that. It would be wonderful. Then you have sort of a vanilla bean ice cream. So I'm going to go in with 3 cups of heavy cream. And as you can see, I can't seem to pour my cream out. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, so I gave it a little squeeze, and that's what happened. Turns out I had a little bit of whipped cream that was blocking the top. So as you can see, it's all over my hands and all over the counter, but it worked out. It was okay. I just had to clear the clog and go in with 3 cups of heavy cream, and that's it. That is the ice cream base. So make sure and taste it. That's what I'm doing here. Taste it for sweetness. Remember, don't call the egg police. I tempered the yolks. So I have this awesome Cuisinart ice cream maker. It's super easy to set up. Very, very convenient. And you just take the frozen insert. I just keep this in my freezer. You drop it right in, and then this is sort of, I don't know if you call it the agitator or what, but then you put the guard right over the top of it. You want to turn it on before you add in your ice cream base. And like I said, it's cold enough to pour right in because the cream that I poured in made it room temperature, which is plenty good for this thing. So while that churns, we will move on and pull our Lara Bars out of the refrigerator. Look how awesome. They set up amazing, and look, pop right out of the pan. I was pretty impressed with this recipe, I'm not going to lie, especially since I really winged it on the first one. And now I'm recording the voiceover for this. We have already tasted both kinds of these, and my toddler loves them. The nuts and the coconut and everything is blended up enough to where it's small enough chunks that she can have it. So I just dice it up into little cubes, and we put it in her little snack pack, and she runs around and eats it as a snack, and she really, really likes it. And it's super nutritious. How could you get better than that? You could add flax or chia seeds, even some, I wonder if nutritional yeast might be really good in that too. That gives it sort of like this buttery flavor. But I am definitely going to experiment with more flavors. And these turned out really, really good. So I'm just cutting them into, say, standard size bars, and then I'm going to wrap them up to make it easier to just kind of grab and go. My husband can take them to work, and I know we've already this week grabbed them as a breakfast option just for running out the door. So I'm going to make little sheets of parchment paper and roll them up in there and then just put them all in a plastic bag and label them and store them in the refrigerator. And that's it. So thanks guys for coming along with me in the kitchen today. It was super awesome. I'm glad I picked up the camera and was able to take you along with a very productive day in the kitchen. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will hopefully be back in a few days with another video for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.